Hello, hello, my lovely Saggies, and welcome to Soulsec Tarot. My name is Christina, and I'm going to be doing your general read for the upcoming month of January 2021. I hope that y'all are doing well. Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a happy holiday and all such things. May the poet pop out. The storm. Comic and the Bardo. Let's see if I can get anything else here for my Saggies. We have the Comic and the Storm, the Bardo, the Creator, the Poet, the Cave, and the Thread. So, God, I'm trying to think about where you guys were last time. I want to say it was like The Understanding was the name of the video. So something about coming into an understanding. So we're going to start with the Bardo and the Storm because that feels right to me. Which is kind of the idea of like coming out of the storm. I mean, y'all have been like the devil in damn near every single one of your reads, and just kind of like facing a lot of the reasons as to like why you approach things the way that you approach them, or how you treat people the way that you treat them, and how that affects them and you and all of the things. So I want to say that, it's just kind of this idea here that you're coming out of the storm. Coming out of all of the things that have been driving you, I want to say on like subconscious level, because you have the Bardo here, which is the idea of like an illuminated truth. It's almost like an Ace of Swords, like this newness of truth. And the skulls make me think of like wiping the crusties away, like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh God, I see, okay, turn the light off. But, it's that idea that, you're coming out of all of these things and you're just kind of having this awareness that you didn't previously have. And then you have the Comic. Sorry. The Comic is a card that kind of speaks to the idea of like not missing a beat, like almost as though you're just going to step right over it and ta-da, like the idea of like slipping on a banana peel and then catching yourself and then just walking like the banana peel never happened. Like that's kind of like the image there. And you have the Thread, which again is, the idea that, you're just really connected to someone, and that you've been connected to this person, and that you're wanting to, I want to say, like, create a new environment. I mean, like the Creator, it's kind of, the idea of like the void in the center, and going from nothing to, creating this like beautiful, brilliant tapestry or masterpiece. That I want to say takes you to, another level of intimacy with this person. And you have the Poet, and the Shapeshifter's not here, but like this kind of has a shapeshifter vibe to me just because of the Comic and the Poet. It's almost like doing a little jig, and then bouncing into, I think, like almost this idea of like something. I mean, the Poet is mystic in their nature, and it's almost like diving down into the depth, like creating something that carries with it like a depth. I want to say like the weight of poetry, or the beauty, not the weight, the beauty of what it is that you're seeking to create. Okay, let's see what else we can get for my Saggies. The Nine of Swords and the Two of Wands. I mean, yeah, that plays into the idea of just kind of like this, you know, illuminated truth and illuminated understanding of, you know, like who you've been, the roles you've played. Hold on, we had cards. Cards. The Eight of Cups and the Four of Pentacles. You know, like goes along with the idea of the devil. You know, just the idea of toying and manipulating and you know, kind of the pain that it caused. Like almost the idea of like, this is the storm. You know, the storm is the bullshit and the ridiculousness of, you know, like behaviors past. But like beyond just being ridiculous, I think the intention behind it, you know, just the idea that like this storm that occurred because, I mean, almost like the puppet master here is, you know, is like the weather, you know, the creator of the weather. It was like creating this storm around this person in terms of you, and coming into this awareness and this illuminated truth, because you have the Ten of Swords as well, you know, and this is just kind of the idea of like a wholeness of understanding, you know, like everything is clear, everything is out in the open, and you know, with the creator and the poet, you know, you have the Magician and the Two of Pentacles, and it's kind of that idea of like wanting to co-create and creating something that you know, is poetic and artistic in its nature. And then we have the Chariot and the Two of Wands, which I feel like the Chariot with the cave and the Two of Wands with the thread, which is just kind of the idea that, you know, you're wanting to move toward an intimacy and you're feeling protective of it because of the connection that you feel. Let's see if we can get anything with this deck. The Seven of Cups. Yeah, that's my Daydreamer card. Just kind of the idea that you're like sitting and like dreaming of what it is that you want to create. Okay, so we had some cards pop out. The Six of Swords and the Eight of Cups. I mean, the Eight of Cups is somebody who, you know, just feels like there's something missing. You know, like they have this full basin and yet they feel as though, you know, like there's something that's still missing from it all. And the Six of Swords is the idea of, you know, kind of like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, kind of like the Seven of Swords. But it's just that, like that almost feeling of liberation. I want to say feeling liberated from feeling as though something is missing, you know, feeling like you're coming into this fullness. I mean, the World is a completion card, but I mean, in this particular instance, I almost feel as though it's that end of the storm and the manipulation and a coming into you know, a fullness of truth. And you have the Queen of Swords here. The Queen of Swords is no bullshit. She's just like, come at me, you know, let's just go ahead and cut away with all of the nonsense. And I feel like, you know, with that mentality is where this, you know, the comic comes into play of just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to like jump over this really quick and move in this direction because, you know, this is where I want to be. And now I understand where I've been and how I've been missing out And I'm kind of feeling liberated from that narrative, I want to say. Because you've got the Three of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. And the Three of Cups is a card of celebration, you know, just kind of like usually a moment or an occasion, you know, party, birthday party, weddings, I don't know, you know, like it's just kind of this idea of celebration. And then the Four of Pentacles is the idea of making a home. And I kind of feel like, Saggies, what you guys are wanting to do is move in toward, you know, like creating a home with this person. Not necessarily physical dwelling type of home, but just kind of, you know, the idea of like of intimacy. And the Hierophant is the idea that, you know, you've been through quite a bit and you have a solid understanding. You know, the Hierophant in this deck is just kind of the idea of like the student teacher, you know, like he understands that he has a lot to teach, and he also understands that he has a lot to learn. And so there's just kind of this neutrality with the Hierophant that carries with it a great deal of wisdom. But, you know, again, I feel like it kind of ties into that idea of movement from the storm to the creator and the poet. And you have the Two of Pentacles, which is partnership. I mean, typically this is like the Two of Wands can be, you know, or Pentacles, I'm sorry, like balance, you know, finding balance with this person. It's not necessarily a romantic card, but with the Cave and the Thread and the Poet, I'm going to go ahead and say it probably is in this scenario. But yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys are really wanting to bring into completion this cycle, and feeling like as the cycle closes out, you're wanting to, you know, move away from feeling as though something is missing and toward, you know, just like finding the illumination necessary. There's a lot of illumination here. I mean, you've got the Nine of Swords, the Ten of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the Bardo. I mean, so it's just kind of like this huge, almost like wake-up call is what I want to say. What else can we get here for my Saggies? The Prayer, which is my manifestation card. And the Destroyer. Okay. I feel like, Saggies, this is the idea of manifesting destruction, but like not in a negative way, I want to say, because of the fact that in order to break out of this cycle, to really bring it into completion, you kind of have to destroy, I want to say, like your approach and your mentality. I mean, like in coming into this awareness and this fullness of truth, it's almost as though your previous reality is crumbling, being destroyed, but it's because you're actively seeking to destroy it, because it's almost the idea of like refocusing, I want to say. I mean, the prayer, the manifestation card, and fuck, I want to think, like maybe it was like in August or September, but you guys like had this idea of like getting out of something because you wanted to move toward this person, and you were, you know, determined, and yet every time you approached this person, it was like you just wanted to like shove them down the stairs. And it's like you were manifesting something and then you were rejecting it. And so I almost feel like your level of destruction is maybe being refocused, and rather than destroying what it is that you're manifesting, you're destroying the habit that you had of destroying your manifestation. If that makes sense. I don't know, I just read the cards. We had the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. yeah, I mean, like, I kind of want to say it's just this acknowledgement. It's this, like, pulling out. I mean, again, this with the swords, this pulling out of truth. I mean, this coming into truth. You have the 9, the 10, and the Knight, which is just kind of like this full progression of, like, understanding, an illumination of self, a full understanding of self and circumstances. The 10 of Swords is like a full understanding of everything and everyone involved. And then the Knight of Swords is just taking that truth and speaking on it. And I want to say speaking on it in terms of what the Queen of Swords has laid out. It's just kind of like this fullness of truth that's been presented to you, but what do you do with it? And it seems like what you're wanting to do is I want to say acknowledge. I want to say acknowledge. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Acknowledge, the fact that you've played manipulator, the fact that you've played, a part in kind of like, I want to say, like, toying with this person and manipulating this person and almost treating them as though they were, like devaluing them, The Orphan. It's a whole lot of truth in this one, y'all. Just this fullness of truth. I mean, the Orphan is just kind of that mentality of, like, a fear of loss. And I feel like it's showed up in some of your reads, just that idea of having this orphaned mentality. This fear of losing, I want to say. Like, you had this fear that you were going to lose this person. And so you pushed them away before they could push you away. And then you pushed them away, and so they walked away. And then you were left feeling like the orphan, and you were like, well, I feel like the orphan if I do, and I feel like the orphan if I don't. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. And I feel like that's part of the truth that you're coming into, is just kind of this idea that, like, all things are connected, and everything is an experience, and if you regret it either way, you don't want to regret it on the end of being the orphan. It's kind of what I feel like your mentality is. In terms of, like, this truth that you're coming into. Let's see what else we can get for my Saggies. The Emperor. Just a solid decision. I mean, I feel like you're coming in on this truth. Just with this, Emperor's got his AK and his staff and his shovel, and you got your revolvers over here. I mean, it's just kind of that idea of, like, coming in decided and just this is something that you're feeling protective of, something that you feel connected to, something that you have, prayed for, manifested, and an intimacy that you are seeking to create. So yeah, I don't know. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope this resonates with y'all, and you have a fantastic week, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.